Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Namaduhu wa nasalli ala Rasulil Kareem. Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the human being for a reason, and He did not leave it to the human being to find out what the reason was. He told him the reason and sent Adam alayhi salam, who was in paradise, to this earth and told him that this would be your place for a while. And he told him that anyone who follows guidance that will come from Allah will be successful, and anyone who does not will be unsuccessful. So that was the first lesson to mankind, that anyone who obeys Allah, follows the guidance, he will be successful, and those who do not will not be successful. Allah Ta'ala created two lives for the human being. One is the short life that will end at the time of death, and the other one is the long, never-ending life, which starts from death and continues forever. And the purpose of the human being, the reason for his creation, is that he has been created for that life that will never end. Adam alayhi salam was the first prophet, the first guide of humanity, and he taught this lesson to those who were with him. And every prophet came after him saying with the same lesson, those who obey Allah will be successful, and those who do not will be doomed. So Allah Ta'ala has laid down the standards, the criteria for success, and has made it very clear that this will be the standard for judgment on the day of judgment. Human beings have been given responsibilities. When a person comes into this earth, he comes loaded with responsibilities. And those responsibilities have to be discharged according to the commands of Allah. If those responsibilities are not discharged, then the person's time, opportunity would be wasted. So Allah Ta'ala has given examples in the Quran of nations that came and did not understand their responsibilities. Responsibilities are to the Creator. Responsibilities are to the creation. Responsibilities are to those people who may not be blessed with the needs of this world. This is something which people have to ponder over. Allah has created needs for human beings. He created thirst, but He also created the means to satisfy the thirst. He created hunger, and He also created the means to satisfy hunger. He created the disease, and He also created the cure for the disease. It's another matter that people may have found some cures and may not have found some cures, but Allah gives the need, and He also gives the means to satisfy those needs. But Allah did not create the human being for the needs. The needs are for the human, but the human is not for the needs. A food is a need of a human being, but a human being cannot say that the human being is for the food. Sleep is a need of the human being, but a human being is not made for the sleep. And so on. People have to understand there's a difference between a need and the purpose of the creation of the human being. Allah Ta'ala has given human being intelligence. The intelligence is to be used in a way that will make a person successful. Success comes if the intelligence is used according to the method, according to the ways that are used, that are given by Allah in His book of guidance. The book of guidance has been provided to make human beings successful. For example, when Allah calls people for salat, for prayer, Allah does this to give the human being something. Allah doesn't get anything, but the call or the invitation is to give the human being something. There's an unseen system where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives blessings and gives rewards, but one doesn't see the reward. This is where the test comes. The person who is using his intelligence according to his own way will not be able to see the reward that Allah has kept for obedience to his commands. Whereas a person who is using his intelligence in a way or according to the book of Allah will see how those rewards will be given. So in other words, every intelligent person knows that fire is harmful, that snakes are harmful. One doesn't need a book of guidance to tell a person that fire can harm a person, snakes can harm people. These things are common knowledge, and no book of guidance is needed for that. But to tell a person that lying, speaking lies, is harmful, it may not be experience of people, because they might think that lying is good for them, and they may see benefit in the short run. But Allah's command is that lying is harmful, and the harm may not come immediately, but it will come sooner or later. So Allah's command is that a person should pray, do salat. A person may not see the benefit of that immediately, but the benefit is hidden. So a person who's using his intelligence without guidance from Allah will not be rightly guided. He will be using his intelligence according to what he observes. He might observe that he lied and he got away, that he got out of trouble. And a person who spoke the truth was speaking the truth, but he got into trouble. So he is making a judgment based on his observation, whereas another person is making his judgment according to the book of Allah, that truth is good and lying is bad. But over a period of time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring the results. So Allah has said in this book, the book of guidance, that sins are harmful to people. But people may not see that, may not observe the results or the consequences of the sins immediately. But Allah's command is, or Allah's wisdom, Allah's knowledge is telling the person that it will bring harm to the person. And this is what happened to the nations in the past, that they did not obey Allah, and they kept on sinning, and in the immediate future there was no consequence, to the extent that they would taunt the prophets and tell them to bring about the punishment of Allah, because the punishment was not coming. So they thought that this was all a lie, that the prophets were lying. But when the punishment came, it was too late for them to do anything about it. So this is why it is important that the intelligence that Allah has given to people is used according to the way it has been ordered by Allah. If the intelligence is not used, then it will bring failure. A robber uses intelligence to rob people, and he sees immediate benefits, but he doesn't know the police is after him, and sooner or later he'll be caught and he will be jailed. These are some things that people observe from their human experience. And when they are caught, and then they are punished, and then they regret they did not obey the rules, it's too late. The damage has already been done. That's why Allah has created two lives. The one life, which is short and uncertain, which is called Hayat al-Dunya, the life of this world, is only given for the purpose of testing a person, whether he believes, whether he trusts, whether he will live his life, the short, uncertain life, according to the commandments of Allah, or he will live this life according to his desires. So these are the two ways a person can choose either one of them. The one who chooses the way that has been given to the people by the prophets will be the one who will succeed. This is the lesson that comes out very clearly from the Quran. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last prophet, but his mission will continue till the end of times. He gave this responsibility to his companions and who discharged the responsibility faithfully. They did not keep the knowledge to themselves. They passed their knowledge on to the next generation. And the next generation passed this to the next. And it has been going on for the last 1400 years. When the Ummah of Rasulullah, the followers of Rasulullah, discharge their responsibility, then Allah's help is guaranteed. Allah's help is guaranteed with the work. It's not guaranteed with the label. When the Ummah, the followers of Rasulullah, do the work that has been assigned, that they're being made responsible for, and Allah has promised His help, as the help came to the prophets in the past, because this is the work of the Anbiya, the work of the prophets. As it said, the salary is given according to the job. The job, whoever is holding the job, whoever is discharging the job, discharging the responsibility of the job, gets the same benefits, the same salaries. So the Ummah, the followers of Rasulullah, are his heirs. They have, it's like when a father dies, the children inherit the wealth, whatever the father had. Similarly, the Ummah, the followers of Rasulullah, are the heirs. They have to continue with the message. They have to continue with the responsibility. This is something that the Ummah, the followers of Rasulullah, forgot. They did not think this was their responsibility. And the result was they brought destruction upon themselves. Whenever the Ummah of Rasulullah followed or discharged the responsibility that has been given to them by Allah and His Rasul, then they have been able to get the help of Allah. So help of Allah is with responsibilities. Allah has made the human being responsible. He has been given an assignment. He's been given a job. And this is the reason for the creation of the human being. The human being did not come into this earth just to while away his time. One day Rasulullah was going with his companions, and they found a dead goat with cut ears. And he asked the companions, would any one of you give 1 dirham for this dead goat? The companions replied, Ya Rasulullah, if this goat was alive, it would not have any worth because it is defective, it has cut ears. And now that it's dead, it's worthless, it has no value. And Rasulullah replied that by Allah, this dunya, this life, is not as much worth as this dead goat in the sight of Allah. This dunya has no value in the sight of Allah because this is a place of test, it's a place of trial, it's a place of hardship. In this dunya, people die, they get sick, they face difficulties, say miseries, tragedies. How could this be something that gives pleasure to Allah? He's not happy with what happens. But this is a decree. It is decreed that He has decided to use this dunya to sift the good from the bad. Some will pass the test and some will fail the test. So the responsibility of the Ummah of Rasulullah is to give the message to people that time is very valuable. Just think for a minute, if a person has been given the job of a king, he's been made the absolute ruler of a country for 10 years. He's been told, you will be king for 10 years. You will have complete powers for 10 years. And another person is told he has to go to jail for 10 years. So once the time starts running, the person who's in the jail, he knows that a day is going to come when he will be out of the jail. So every day that passes, it brings comfort to him that my time is coming to an end, and one day I'll be free. Whereas the king, he will be thinking that one day I'll be out of this position. The time, every day that passes, means one day less of his kingship. So this life, if it's looked upon as a life of pleasure, then this pleasure is going to end. No matter how long this life is, the one day, every day that passes, that means one day less of the pleasure, one day less of the enjoyment. And this is not why Allah created this. So people who think this is for that reason, they are in a state of self-deception. Because when death comes, they will realize that all the time they spent in this world was wasted. The time is not to be wasted. The time is to be used in a way that will bring success for eternity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants His creation to be successful. He's given them deeds, He's given them faith, He's given them things that will make them successful. Just imagine 5 times daily salat. Allah does not want to put burden on a person, but He has given this opportunity that if you obey me in this life, you will be rewarded for that. A time will come when you will get the reward for that forever. If you do a job, you get the salary, and that's the end of the reward. But in the case of deeds that have been ordained by Allah, the reward is not for this life. The reward is for eternity. So the intelligence that Allah has given to the human being has to be used in a way which will bring benefit, which will bring profit, which will bring success, not for a short time. No matter how hard a person works for this life, for this dunya, and no matter what position he reaches, he can reach the highest position and he can amass the highest amount of wealth, but a day will come when all that will be of no use to him. And this is where an intelligent person will make a decision that he'll want to make an investment in something that will be beneficial forever. The choice is very clear. All the prophets came and warned people, do not be deceived by the trickery of the shaitan, of the devil. He's your enemy. Just imagine the enemy is with every single human being on the face of this earth. Every single human being has an enemy attached to him, and he doesn't realize that. He doesn't know this enemy is sitting inside him, and his goal is to make him miserable for eternity. He's not worried that he is miserable for a short time. He's worried that he wants to make him miserable forever and ever, because he's a declared enemy of the human being. How many people in this world know that there is an enemy within themselves? The shaitan, the devil, has declared that he is an enemy, and he's not visible. The experts, the scientists, the doctors, they can see the things that cause harm to a person's body. They can see the virus, and they can make a vaccine, and they can bring medicines, they can do all kinds of things. Well, imagine there's something that is even more deadly, that's more dangerous, which is inside every single human being. The doctors and the medical science and the scientists cannot see that. The only way people can see that and know that is through the Book of Allah. And unfortunately, most people are not even aware of that. And the purpose of these talks is to make people aware that there are some problems that can be corrected by science. There's some problems that can be resolved by the material means. But there are some problems, there's some things that cannot be resolved by material means. In those cases, one has to turn to the Book of Allah. The Book of Allah is to make people successful, to make people happy, to lead pure lives. A person who has a pure life is a happy person. And a person who does not lead his life according to the commandments of Allah will sooner or later be in a difficult position. His life will become very hard for him, and he will be causing harm not only to himself but to the others around him. Just imagine how many millions of people in this world are suffering from all kinds of diseases, and the doctors are not able to help them because the doctors do not know where the cure is. The doctors are looking for a cure where the cure is not to be found. The cure is found in something very different, and the medical science and science doesn't teach them that. The science is beneficial only with regards to the seen world, material world. But when one is dealing with an enemy who is not visible, then science becomes helpless. This is why it's very important for every single human being to be well versed in the Book of Allah, to be well versed with the system that helps the person with regards to this enemy that's sitting inside a person. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give all of us guidance and help us achieve the goal for which Allah has created the human being. Wa akhir dawana in alhamdulillah rabbil alameen.